Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of Pixel Peak.
We hope you guys are having a great week as the semester is coming close to its end.
Man, I can't believe it's already April.
I know, it feels like time goes faster as the end of the semester approaches.
Yeah. And with that, let's get into this week's news. Starting us off, Rocket League Sideswipe is now coming to the mobile platform.
There isn't a release date for the mobile version yet, but beta tests began at the end of March.
Along with that, Rust is also going to become available to play on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One.
Following this announcement, we have some game updates and delays.
Back 4 Blood and Humankind's release dates have been pushed back by a few months.
And while those games have been delayed, updates are coming to League of Legends with a new character, and Call of Duty Warzone with some new map changes.
On the topic of updates for our sports fans, there will be a new installation of MLB's The Show.
The new installation will have a new leveling system and give the players new options on how to play.
That sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun.
And for our final news story, we have the Kickstarter for a D&D sourcebook created by former Blizzard developers that kicks off on April 20th.
The game is titled Ouroboros Coils of the Serpent, and it is Warchief Gaming's attempt at a D&D campaign.
That sounds really cool.
Yeah. Then we'll turn the show over to game reviewer Elizabeth Dodson with the game Story of Season.
After that, this week we'll have Ruby Hall, our Nintendo analyst, on the updates for New Horizon and Monster Hunter.
Thank you for joining us today, and we hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode. I'm Sydney Thompson.
And I'm Kristen Lawrence, and we hope you enjoy your stay here
on Pixel Peak. For our first story of the week, we're talking about some popular games making their way to other platforms. First up is Rocket League Sideswipe, which will be coming to mobile devices from consoles and is being developed by Psyonix. Players can get the game for free and engage in one-on-one or two-on-two matches that will last about 2 minutes each. It should be noted that some controls and camera perspectives will be altered from the original Rocket League to be more integrated into the mobile version. Although there is no official release date yet, Psyonix is planning on releasing the game worldwide this year. Until then, there will be betas and tests that prospective players should look out for. Australia and New Zealand were already set to test out the game on March 31st, so keep your eyes peeled and your thumbs warm to play some car soccer. Next up is the PC native Rust, which has been working on ports for both the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and has recently announced its release date as May 21st. For the viewers who haven't experienced the game, it is a survival game that allows the players to harvest resources, construct a base, collect and build weapons, and raid other players' bases. While it is possible to team up with random players, you should expect to get a lot of gun or bow fights. As well as the console port is concerned, there are 3 different versions for players to choose from. The standard edition rings up at $50 and includes the Future Weapons and Tools skin pack. The next tier is the Deluxe Edition, costing $60, and also including 3 days of early access as well as access to the closed beta and staging branch. Lastly is the Ultimate Edition, which includes all of the above, as well as 1,100 Rust coins and an Elite Combat skin pack for $80. Be ready for a fight for survival when the ports release in May.
Now we have both some good news and some bad news, but we'll start with the bad news first. Back 4 Blood, which is the successor but not a sequel to Left 4 Dead, has been delayed until October 12th, with an original release date of June 22nd. The developers, Turtle Rock, have stated that they need more time to get the game ready for release, although they don't want to keep their fans waiting too long and will be releasing an open beta, which should come out this summer. Humankind is also being delayed. Instead of releasing this month in April, it has been pushed to August 17th. The developers have stated that they need more time to tweak things such as accessibility, AI, and overall balancing. They've gotten a lot of these ideas for changes from the community after a recent open testing phase, and you can see all of their areas of improvement in their developers' blog. To thank players for their patience, they're including Lucy and Edgar Allan Poe themed avatar sets along with pre-orders, with the avatar set essentially being the game's version of a civilization leader. Now, for good news in the form of game updates. First up is a new character for League of Legends. Cinematic and gameplay trailers have revealed a doll named Gwen. As part of her backstory, Gwen was created as a doll by a seamstress, but was later tragically separated from her creator and sent to the ocean floor. Eventually, she came across a mysterious force and got transformed into something else, which includes her being imbued with life. Certain details of the character are still unknown, such as her exact weapon set, although she was seen with a scissors-type weapon in the gameplay trailer. Riot will be revealing more details in the coming weeks, and it is expected that she will join the game's public beta environment before her final release. Lastly, Call of Duty Warzone's map continues to become infected as the zombies have arrived at the bank in the southern part of the map. Just as with the previous advancements of the Undead Horde, there is a new briefing on the Call of Duty website. Meanwhile, there is still no definitive answer to where the zombies are going in the long term, either in or out of the game, or what the rest of the season must look like. There should be hopefully some more information about what Season 2 might look like coming soon.
For sports fans out there, the new 2021 installment of MLB's The Show will bring many new features, with the first of these being an update to the way career mode works. Like many sports games in the past, starting a new career only gives you the option of playing as one character at a time. Many gamers found themselves juggling between two different save files, and in the case of MLB, players would have a hitter and a pitcher and play as whichever they felt like at the time. But with 2021's The Show, players will now have the opportunity to play and develop two characters within one career mode, if they so choose. What this means is you could play one career and have both a pitcher and a hitter being developed at the same time in one universe. Obviously, for players who like the traditional one character for one career style of playing, that will still be an option. But for players looking to expand their character development, this new feature is sure to attract some fans. This new installment of MLB also features a new leveling system that requires far less grinding in order to achieve a decent player. If you have played NBA games before, then you know when designing your character, you select a certain skill set or number of archetypes. What this basically means is that you can create exactly the style of player you want to play as, rather than just having to work towards 99 overall stats in every category. This new style of character development coming to MLB encourages players to create more than one character, seeing as there will be many different options and roles within the team to explore. Rather than just creating one person who is amazing at everything and then becoming bored of the game in a short amount of time, this form of character development encourages replayability and strives to have the multiplayer career option utilized. Lastly, a major feature that fans have been asking developers for years is finally coming to the game. 2021's The Show will finally feature the ability of creating and customizing your very own stadium to play in. On release date, the game is expected to come preloaded with 30 different stadiums, which all can be edited and changed in many different ways to the player's heart's content. If you are the type of player who wants to build something from the ground up, this is also an option, with templates being offered that literally are just fields of grass to start from. Developers claim there are thousands of props for players to take advantage of when tricking out their stadiums, and they look forward to seeing all the designs people come up with. In terms of when we can expect this game, it is set to release on April 16th of 2021. Developers are hoping this new installment, with all of its new features, will really get fans back into virtual baseball, seeing as MLB's The Show has always been known for being the most realistic of sports games.
Do you believe in saving the best for last? For this week, that is what we have done. A brand new Dungeons & Dragons sourcebook is coming to Kickstarter in April, and it takes a fresh approach to the worlds within D&D. Former Blizzard Entertainment executives have announced a new company, Warchief Gaming, and their first project will be the new campaign titled Ouroboros: Coils of the Serpent, featured in the new sourcebook Worldbook Lawbrand. Not only is this new sourcebook compatible with the current D&D version, it will be a world exploding with high fantasy. When comparing the two, the modern-day D&D game takes place in the world of the Forgotten Realms, which is a universe containing savage wilderness and bustling cities, while Ouroboros will take place in a world called Drasnia. The world that the developers are creating for the game is contrasting the modern-day D&D realm by being far more urban. Drasnia will comprise of 8 or 9 large trade cities grouped together in a confederation titled Lolbrand, some of them being packed with houses and busy factories. For more information on Ouroboros, go check out the Warchief Gaming website. With how much information is out about this new world already, it would take an entire episode of Pixel Peak in itself to talk about it. If you are interested in D&D, however, we have a new show on App TV featuring many people involved with Pixel Peak. This program, titled Nerds and Gnolls, follows the D&D adventure of 4 people on their own campaign quest. Nerds and Gnolls stars some familiar faces from Pixel Peak, such as Haley Cipher and Rebecca Larson, and is edited by Elizabeth Dodson. What makes Dungeons & Dragons so cool is, the better the imagination of its players, the more interesting their story will get. If you have yet to start watching Nerds and Gnolls, it is still early in their campaign. New episodes release every Saturday at 7 p.m., so make sure to get up to date with their journey so far and follow along with the new episodes.
Story of Seasons: Pioneers of Olive Town is a story-based simulation game, and can also be seen as a life simulator. It was created and published by Marvelous, or otherwise known as Xseed Studios, on March 23rd of 2021. It is a single-player game, although you can connect to the internet and explore other people's farms. However, the game is made for just Nintendo Switch. This game reminds me of games that I played when I was younger, from the most recent Animal Crossing New Horizon to older games such as Oregon Trail. Yes, I am that old. You can choose to play as either a male or female character. The basis for this game is that you, the character, always wanted to live on a farm that you had heard stories of growing up that your grandfather had owned in Olive Town. After inheriting said farm, you make your way to the town only to find the farm in disarray. It's up to you, the player, to make it beautiful again. Along the way, you can learn not only the skills to develop your farm, but to develop connections with the other people in the town and help it become prosperous again. For gameplay, you start out with a tent and are given a set of tools, which are a scythe, hammer, axe, and a watering can. After talking with the town's mayor. After realizing that I had to move the tools from your tool bag to your hotbar, I got to work working on my farm. And with the controls, they're pretty easy to learn, but if you happen to forget something, there is a journal that you can go to as a reminder. These tools, as far as I know from playing the game, do not break. However, you can upgrade them from basic to iron, if you have the coin or the material to do so. The main point of this game is to turn the run-down farm into one of beauty. As you learn from the mayor after a few in-game days, you can upgrade your home from a tent to a small cabin to more, if you have either the coin or the material to do so. You can actually upgrade anything you want, from your home to your tools to your farmhouses, if you, again, either have the materials or the coin, as I would learn later when repairing the bridge. Speaking of being able to upgrade your home, as you do, you have the ability to purchase pets from the animal shop in town. You can only buy as many as you have the space for and the money. As seen here, I got really excited when I found this out, and I actually wanted to purchase a breed like the one I have in real life. But alas, they did not have the breed. But I did, however, after going slightly nuts from excitement about it, decide to purchase a golden retriever. And let me tell you, the graphics and movement of the pets are almost on the same level as the Sims 4 Pets expansion, in my opinion. You can purchase treats, toys, and more for your pets and animals at the local animal/pet store. Olive Town actually has many different stores, from a general store to a bakery to a carpentry store to even a hotel, that all have their own unique owners and hours. The player can also take jobs at the job request board in town to help boost the town, and like I stated previously, to become more prosperous than it was at the beginning of your game. Once you repair the bridge that is on your farm, you find yourself with more land that is twice the size that you started off with, that is also overgrown and in need of being cleared. Along the way, you can repair buildings like the chicken coop, cow pen, and more, and then purchase and or tame animals that can live in them as you grow your farm. And you can upgrade these buildings as well. Oh, and did I fail to mention that once you repair the bridge, that's not the last expansion that you can have on your farm? The one flaw that this game has is that its frame rate. With the farm being so big and you being able to practically do anything from making crazy decorations to having a field that is a mile long, it can really start to tank your frame rate. Especially if, for example, you're running across an area with a lot of foliage that has yet to be cleared, or an area that is extremely developed or has 15 million material making machines on it. This can also lead to a lot of time spent making sure that your land is free of junk and looking nice and neat. Aside from building up your farm and helping build up Olive Town, you can also start your own family. Or, if you don't want to go that route, you can literally become a crazy dog or cat lady/man. I honestly thought of doing that, but yeah. This game really doesn't have much in regards to combat, and like I stated earlier, the controls are pretty simple to understand. And also there is a journal that you can look at that has all of the controls on it in case you forget, or go a little while without playing the game and just need a refresher. I found the game to be calming and peaceful to play compared to other games in my repertoire. Even though it does get repetitive with the overall harvesting of materials and such, the interactions you can have with the villagers and trying to keep your farm up is somehow relaxing, in a time that can be, at times, stressful. Adding to that, the calming music and nice graphics, I would give this game a rating of top of the mountain, and am definitely going to spend way too much time continuing to play this.
Welcome back to our analysis segment. Today we'll have our Nintendo specialist, Ruby Hall, joining us to talk about New Horizons, Animal Crossing's latest title, and Monster Hunter. Thank you for joining us, Ruby.
Thanks for having me back.
Absolutely. Well, you know me, and you know what I'm about to say to you. Let's hop right into the questions.
Let's get started then.
Absolutely. So my first question for you today is, we just passed the 1-year anniversary of Animal Crossing's New Horizons. Alongside the anniversary, Nintendo has finally added some updates that fans have been pining for. Can you tell us what's so good about this recent update?
So the biggest thing about this update that people have been waiting for so long is some quality of life improvements. We now have more custom design spaces, which those are very widely used for things like custom outfits or custom floor paths, tiles, etc. And it opens up a lot more space for a lot more customizability on your island. They also improved the crafting system. You can now do some bulk crafting, and that's so convenient. I remember having to press the A button so many times to craft a lot of fish bait, and that is no more. And also, they added, as usual with most updates, some new furniture, some new crafting recipes, and it's nice to have that new stuff. They also brought back the Bunny Day holiday, so Zipper's back in town. You can get your eggs again. So it's a fun time to be an Animal Crossing player. You got some new stuff to go through.
Absolutely. It's always great to have new stuff for the games. But speaking of Animal Crossing, recently there was a big launch at Target for Animal Crossing's first set of amiibo cards in years. The set was a collaboration with Sanrio and was sold for $5.99 at retail. It's considered a limited edition. As a result, they are being scalped for online for almost 10 times the price. I mean, that's crazy. But how do you feel about Nintendo's exclusivity with this item?
So my thing with exclusivity is I don't like it. Whenever there's something exclusive, that means less people will be able to access this content in the game. So it kind of feels bad that the accessibility is down because so many people want this, but just not enough players can get their hands on it. It is unfortunate that it is being scalped online for so much, but at the same time, there is a huge demand because there's a lot of Animal Crossing fans out there, and this is pretty cheap to pick up. So I'm really hoping Nintendo is able to get some more out there and really help out those players who want to access this new content with these cards.
Absolutely. And when this situation comes into mind, you always think of this is such a big game that maybe it's even worth going to the Hall of Fame. So with this being said, it's also been announced that it is a nominee for the Video Game Hall of Fame for 2021. Some of the games it is pitted against are games such as Guitar Hero, Farmville, Tron, and Call of Duty. Knowing this, do you think Animal Crossing deserves to win?
I'm not too sure because all the games on that list have their merits. They have their own cultural impact, and we can still see that impact to today in the modern game industry. Animal Crossing could win. You've definitely seen its cultural impact last year when it first came out. Everyone was playing it. It was kind of like some world peace vibes, if you ask me. But at the same time, all of these games, they've done their thing and they're just as big. So I really think it's a toss-up. If Animal Crossing won, that would be cool. But if something else won, like, that would also be fine.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because like when you think about Animal Crossing, it's kind of like the synonymous game that's been going on since quarantine kind of happened, and that's what most people have been playing. But moving on to our next game of topic, now to talk about a newer game launch from Nintendo. Monster Hunter Rise was released in March 26, 2021, but some players state that the game doesn't quite feel complete at launch. What can you tell us about that?
So this is actually a similar pattern with older Monster Hunter releases. They typically come out like this, where it's kind of just the base game with the core elements of gameplay in like the first set of hunts. And that's just how Monster Hunter games are. They release this first set of content, and throughout time, they will add in more through content updates. So there will be more things to do in the future. But I 100% understand the player's frustration when it comes to this happening, because it happens all too much with the gaming industry where developers can make an entire game, then it does feel kind of empty, and then they sell DLC to make it feel less empty. Fortunately for Monster Hunter, they're pretty good about making content updates free, and they're released regularly, and these content updates are always packed with core content. So it won't be long until the players can get more things to do in this game, as Monster Hunter Rise looks like a really fun game for people to get into.
Absolutely, because DLC always creates this quality about it that adds to the game. Speaking of quality, what quality of life changes have been added to this new Monster Hunter release?
So it's actually really interesting to see all of these quality of life changes, because the last installment, Monster Hunter World, already came with a lot of quality of life changes. So it's a nice surprise to see even more added into Rise, the newest game. It had a lot of things like gathering materials and supplies, they used to take a lot longer in older titles, but now it feels a lot more streamlined and definitely a lot more convenient just to go through, and it really helps out the flow of the game. You feel like you can get to hunting the monster quicker, which is the part everyone wants to do in Monster Hunter. But for people who like to do the whole scavenging for resources and crafting thing, it is still in the game. It's just more streamlined and feels easier to do.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But what suggestions would you give a new player considering this for their first Monster Hunter game?
So Monster Hunter Rise is definitely way more approachable for new players because its tutorials are pretty expansive, and there's also an active community online who are more than happy to help new players. Though Monster Hunter as a series has typically been kind of weird because it's such a unique kind of game with unique mechanics and pacing to where it can be kind of difficult for new players to get into, but luckily these tutorials can really help out. It does have a high learning curve and it will require some patience, but it is super worth it just to sit down and learn the game. The community is super passionate for Monster Hunter, and once you take the time to get into the game, you can really see why.
Oh, absolutely. And unfortunately, I have one more question left for you, and I hate to end it but so quickly, but my last question for you is, what news do you want to hear about Nintendo next, whether this is about more Monster Hunter or Animal Crossing or even something completely new?
So there's a lot that Nintendo has announced recently that I really want to see more information for. So first thing is Breath of the Wild 2. In the last Direct, it was mentioned that there wasn't any news for it, but they mentioned, that development's going smoothly. So I really, really want to see some news for it. I'm willing to wait, but I still thirst for that news. Also, there's the new Pokemon games coming out. They're remaking Diamond and Pearl, some of my original favorites from Gen 4, so I'm super excited for that. I want to hear more about the remake and see a little bit more of Sinnoh being reimagined. So there's a lot of exciting things coming from Nintendo, and I really, really want to see more of it, so I can't wait.
Absolutely, because I think about Diamond and Pearl as well. That's what I grew up on, along with the original Fire Red, and that's something that you just told me that I'm really excited about as well. And I'm glad that that's something we can end this interview on and have me excited as well for you to come back and maybe even give us more news on the situation. But as I said, that's all we have for the day. Ruby, thank you so much for coming out. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Thanks for having me. I love being here.
Awesome. So I'm going to send it back to Sydney and Kristen to wrap up this week's episode.
Thank you, Ruby, for this week's analysis, and Elizabeth for the game review.
We greatly appreciate all of your input.
We had a good amount of news this week, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. True, some of it was delays, which kind of can't be helped with how crazy the world is right now.
Yeah, but we did get some news on some new things to look forward to, at least.
Along with what some of our crew has been working on outside Pixel Peak.
The game updates sound really interesting, and I hope the Kickstarter for the D&D sourcebook goes well.
And hopefully the games that got delayed won't get delayed any further.
Yeah, nobody likes delays, but it doesn't give them time to perfect the games.
That's true. Plus, it makes the games even more anticipated.
Agreed. Like each week, we have new Pixel Peak episodes coming out every Monday afternoon at noon. You can find them on WatchAppTV.com, Skybest Channels 20 and 1020, Spectrum Channel 198, and on App State's Campus Television Channel 23.3.
And you can always get reminded of upcoming episodes by following our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram accounts at Pixel Peak App TV.
Of course, we have our incredible crew to thank for another great episode. Thanks to writers Rebecca Larson, Josh Beal, and Zach White, game reviewer Elizabeth Dodson, and producers Nick Corbin, Elise Taylor, Haley Seifert, and Jacob Barber for another week of impeccable gaming industry content.
Thank you all for watching, and we hope you enjoyed your stay here
on Pixel Peak.